It finally happened. The moment the entire Sister Wives fandom has been waiting for, and the moment Kody Brown has been dreading, has finally come to pass. And it was worse, so much worse, than anyone could have ever imagined. We're not talking about a pre-taped, carefully edited, and producer-controlled tell-all where Kody can rehearse his answers and spin his narrative. We're talking about live television. Unedited, unfiltered, and utterly brutal. Christine and Janelle Brown, the two ex-wives who have successfully built new lives away from the chaos of Kody's patriarchy, just publicly dismantled him in a segment that is already being called one of the most shocking moments in reality TV history. Kody Brown didn't just get called out. He was systematically exposed, fact-checked, and emotionally eviscerated by the two women who knew him best. He tried to crush their interview, and instead, they ended his public career. He will never recover from this. Welcome to the channel, and let's get right into this, because there is so much to unpack. Alright, so let's set the stage, because the context here is everything. Christine and Janelle Brown were booked on a major national morning show. Think Good Morning America or The Today Show. This was a big leagues interview. They were there to promote their new digital series, their lives as successful, single entrepreneurs, and to talk about finding happiness after leaving polygamy. They looked incredible. Christine was vibrant and glowing, and Janelle had that calm, confident CEO energy we've all come to respect. The interview was supposed to be a 5-minute, lighthearted segment. But sources close to the production say that just before the commercial break, Kody Brown, who was not scheduled to appear, essentially forced his way onto the set. Production was scrambled. The hosts were visibly stunned. But Kody, in that classic Kody way, walks out with that forced, manic grin, holding a microphone. He sits himself down right between Christine and Janelle, throwing his arms on the back of the couch, trying to physically claim them. His first words, broadcast live to millions? You can't talk about the family without the man of the family, right? The sheer arrogance was radiating through the screen. You could see the hosts exchange a look of pure panic, but the cameras were rolling, and it was live. There was no stopping it. Kody thought he was staging a power move. He thought he was going to reassert his dominance, spin his side of the story, and put these women back in their place. What he didn't realize was that he wasn't walking into a room with his subservient wives. He was walking into an ambush he had set for himself, and Christine and Janelle were no longer bound by his rules. The host, trying to regain control, pivots to Kody. Kody, this is a surprise. Since you're here, let's talk about the state of the family. There's been so much speculation about the finances, especially with Coyote Pass. Kody just lit up. This is what he wanted. He leaned into the camera, ready to give his King of the Castle speech. He immediately launched into his well-worn, self-pitying narrative, talking about how he has sacrificed everything for his family, how he's the only one who ever had the vision, and how he's been financially victimized by his wives leaving. He starts talking about how he gifted the women their homes and how he's been left holding the bag on a property they all wanted. He was painting himself as the martyr, the patriarch who was betrayed by his disloyal subjects. He was smug, he was condescending, and he was lying. And that's when Janelle Brown, the quiet accountant of the family, decided to balance the books. Janelle wasn't emotional. She didn't yell. She just waited. And when Kody took a breath, she turned her body, looked him dead in the eye, and said, "That's not true, Kody." The silence on the set was deafening. Kody's smile froze. Janelle continued, "You didn't gift us anything. We all worked. I worked. I put my money from my own career into the family pot for 30 years. The home in Vegas? I paid for that. My RV? I paid for that. The money I put into Coyote Pass? That was my investment, not a gift from you." Kody started to sputter. "Now, Janelle, that's not, we all..." But Janelle wasn't done. She delivered the killer blow. "In fact, Kody, since we're being honest, the family pot often paid for your projects. The family pot subsidized Robyn's debts. The family pot paid for a lifestyle that only one part of the family truly enjoyed. When I lived in that RV, I was paying rent on a property I own while you and Robin lived in $1 million home. So let's not talk about your sacrifices. Let's talk about your choices. It was a public fact check. She didn't just call him a liar. She proved it calmly and with receipts. She exposed him not as a patriarch, but as a failed and, frankly, negligent financial manager who used his wife's money to fund his own and his favorite wife's lifestyle. Kody's face went from smug to sheet white. He had no answer. Kody was visibly reeling. He was trapped. He looked to the host as if for help, but the host was now looking at Christine, who had been completely silent, just watching Kody disintegrate. The host, sensing blood in the water, asked, "Christine, you've been very vocal about the emotional reasons for your leaving. What do you think about Kody's claim that he was victim-blamed?" And oh, did Christine deliver? This wasn't the giggling, conflict-avoidant Christine from the early seasons. This was the woman who has found her voice, and she used it like a weapon. She leaned forward, and all the fake morning show brightness was gone. She was dead serious. "Kody," she said, her voice shaking but strong, "you weren't victim-blamed. You were held accountable. There's a difference." She then proceeded, point by point, to list his emotional crimes. "When our daughter, Isabel, needed a life-altering surgery, you refused to go because you didn't want to be away from Robin and her children. That wasn't a COVID protocol, Kody. That was a choice. A choice to abandon your daughter when she needed her father." Kody tried to interrupt. "That's a lie. I was concerned." And Christine cut him off. "Was I not good enough for you? You told me to my face that you weren't attracted to me. You told me to my face that you didn't want intimacy with me anymore. But you demanded I remain loyal to you, that I remain in the basement, while you had a full, functioning marriage in another house. You didn't want a wife, Kody. You wanted a servant. You wanted a teammate who would never question the king. This is the part that will haunt him forever." She looked right into the camera, speaking not just to him, but to the world. "The humiliation wasn't that I left you. The humiliation, Kody, is that you let us go. You let Janelle live in a trailer. You let my daughter go to surgery alone. You actively and openly prioritized one wife and her children over all the rest of us, and you thought we were too stupid to notice, or too scared to leave. The humiliation you feel isn't from us. It's from your own conscience, finally catching up with you. It was a complete, systematic, and emotional annihilation." She didn't just expose his actions. She exposed his motive. She exposed the narcissism, the favoritism, and the cruelty that he had hidden behind the veneer of plural marriage for decades. At this point, Kody Brown was no longer a patriarch. He was a cornered animal. He had been financially exposed by Janelle and emotionally executed by Christine. His entire public persona, the one he had crafted so carefully for over a decade, had been destroyed in less than 5 minutes. And so, he did the only thing he knows how to do when he loses control. He exploded. He shot up from the couch. He wasn't sitting anymore. He was looming. He ripped off his microphone and threw it on the couch. "This is an ambush," he screamed, his voice cracking. "This is what you do. You too. You've been conspiring against me. You've been knife in the kidneys for years. I will not be disrespected like this." He was pointing his finger. His face was beet red, and that manic energy was now pure, unfiltered rage. He was rambling, incoherent, bringing up things from 10 years ago, trying to deflect, to gaslight, to change the subject. But the damage was done, and here is the most telling part. The part that proves he will never recover. As Kody was having this full-blown, public tantrum, Christine and Janelle didn't flinch. They didn't cower. They didn't even look angry. They looked sad. They looked at him with a mixture of pity and, honestly, embarrassment. They weren't his wives anymore. They were two grown women watching their ex-husband make a complete fool of himself in front of millions of people. Their lack of reaction was the final humiliation. It proved they were done. His anger had no more power over them. Kody, realizing he had lost the room, lost his wives, and lost the argument, just yelled, "This is over," and stormed off the set. Live. On national television, the hosts were left speechless. Christine and Janelle, to their credit, regained their composure almost immediately. Janelle just sighed, and Christine actually gave a small, apologetic laugh to the hosts, as if to say, "See? This is what we dealt with." The segment ended abruptly, and the clip, of course, is now everywhere. So let's break down what this means. Kody Brown's entire brand, his entire identity, was built on the idea that he was a strong, benevolent patriarch managing a large, happy, functional plural family. He needed his wives, even the ones who left, to appear as though they still respected him, as though the system was good, even if they couldn't hack it. This live TV incident shattered that illusion forever. Janelle proved he wasn't a provider. He was a financial burden. Christine proved he wasn't a loving husband and father. He was a neglectful narcissist who plays favorites. And his final screaming meltdown proved he is not a leader. He is a petulant child who throws a tantrum when he doesn't get his way. He will never recover from this, because this wasn't an edited clip. This was raw, 100% uncut Kody Brown. And what about Robyn? You can be sure she is in full-blown panic mode. Her entire identity and financial security are tied to Kody's public image. This humiliation doesn't just affect Kody, it affects her. It delegitimizes her position as the only loyal wife and recasts her as the woman who benefited from the emotional and financial neglect of her sister wives and their children. What we witnessed wasn't just a TV interview. It was a public execution. It was the final, definitive end of Kody Brown's reign. Christine and Janelle didn't just walk away from him. They lapped him. They are successful. They are happy. They are thriving. And they just proved on a national stage that they are the winners. Kody Brown is left with nothing but the consequences of his own actions, screaming into the void as his entire world crumbles around him. He'll never recover from this, because for the first time, there were no producers, no editors, and no one left to silence the truth. In the last 48 hours, the Sister Wives universe has been rocked by one event: the live-on-air execution of Kody Brown by his ex-wives, Christine and Janelle. We all saw it. We saw Kody's disastrous attempt to crash their interview. We saw Janelle dismantle his finances. We saw Christine expose his emotional cruelty. And we all saw him completely melt down, rip off his mic, and storm off the set. It was the single most unfiltered, brutal, and honest moment in the show's history. But if you thought the humiliation ended when the cameras cut away, you were wrong. The fallout has been swift, it has been merciless, and it has just gotten so much worse. Because late last night, in a move of pure desperation, Kody and Robyn Brown tried to do damage control. They released a 45-minute unedited fireside chat video on their own channel. And it is, without a doubt, the most pathetic, manipulative, and self-imploding PR attempt we have ever witnessed. They didn't put out the fire. They poured gasoline on it. This is the story of how their desperate attempt to win back the public completely and utterly backfired. Let's set the scene. In the 48 hours after Kody's on-air meltdown, the internet was a war zone. He was a global trending topic. The clip of him screaming, "This is an ambush," was everywhere. The major talk shows were dissecting it. Body language experts were feasting on his aggressive posturing and Christine and Janelle's calm, pitying strength. The narrative was set, and it was unified. Kody Brown was a failed patriarch, a narcissist who had finally been exposed. The silence from the Brown compound in Flagstaff was deafening, until last night. Just before midnight, a video dropped onto a new YouTube channel titled simply, "Our Truth." The thumbnail? A low-resolution photo of Kody and Robyn sitting on their infamous gray couch, hands clasped, attempting to look like solemn, unified victims. The video itself is a technical disaster, which tells you everything you need to know. It's filmed on a cell phone, propped up on a coffee table. The lighting is that awful yellow overhead light from their living room. You can hear the hum of a refrigerator. Kody is wearing the same shirt he's worn in a dozen cameo videos, hair frazzled, looking like he hasn't slept. Robyn is next to him, wrapped in a blanket, dabbing at her already red eyes with a wad of toilet paper. This wasn't a professional, producer-managed statement. This was a 3 a.m., we have to fix this now, panic-driven rant, and it shows. Kody doesn't even do an introduction. He just glares into the camera, and the video starts with him sighing, "Well, I guess we have to talk about this." It was the beginning of a 45-minute train wreck. The video's strategy becomes clear in the first 5 minutes. They are the real victims. Kody begins on a long, rambling monologue, not about what happened, but about the betrayal. He never once addresses the substance of Janelle's financial claims or Christine's emotional claims. He doesn't deny abandoning Isabel. He doesn't deny Janelle's RV situation. Instead, he attacks their character for bringing it up. "These women," he says, his voice dripping with contempt, "they made a covenant. Not just with me, but with God. And they chose to break that covenant in the most public, most humiliating way possible for a paycheck." He claims the entire live TV incident was a calculated, premeditated attack planned by Christine, Janelle, and the TV network to destroy him and his real family. He frames their truth-telling as a spiritual crime, a stab in the kidneys, and the ultimate act of loyalty to the enemies of the family. Then it's Robyn's turn. And this is where the manipulation goes into overdrive. Robyn, who has clearly been crying for 2 days straight, begins a long, tearful, and almost incoherent speech about her suffering. "I just don't understand," sniffle, "what I ever did to them," she wails. "I came into this family, and I loved them. I loved their children. I just wanted to be a sister wife." She then proceeds to paint herself as the primary victim of the entire scandal. She talks about how her children are seeing these awful, hateful things online. She claims that ever since Christine left, there has been a target on her back and that Christine and Janelle are jealous of her happy, functional relationship with Kody. At one point, she looks directly into the camera, tears streaming down her face, and says, "They all left us. They abandoned us. And now they're being celebrated for it? How's that fair?" It's a masterclass in deflection. Not once does she acknowledge her role as the favored wife or the unequal distribution of resources. In Robyn's world, she is the eternal victim, and everyone else is just mean to her for no reason. As the video progresses, Kody gets visibly angrier. He's feeding off Robyn's tears. His victim act morphs back into the rage we saw on the TV set. He starts pacing back and forth behind the couch, gesticulating wildly at the camera. He starts talking about loyalty and obedience and how his leadership has been undermined from day one. And then he says the line that has now cost him his career. He stares into the camera, eyes bulging, and says, "You know what? I'm done apologizing. I am the patriarch. And what I say goes. I have been too nice. I have been too patient. From now on, I am taking back control. I should have put my foot down on day one. A wife's job is to be loyal. A wife's job is to honor her husband. And any wife who doesn't, well, you see what happens. They end up bitter, and they end up alone." This was his true, unfiltered belief. In his desperate attempt to regain control, he finally admitted what the show has tried to hide for a decade. This was never about love and partnership. It was about control. He didn't just insult Christine and Janelle. He insulted every woman watching. He reduced wife to a job of obedience. And the look on Robyn's face during this, she wasn't horrified. She was nodding. She was sitting there, tears drying, nodding in agreement, co-signing his tyrannical rant. It was the ultimate mask-off moment. They didn't just confirm everything Christine and Janelle said, they doubled down on it, proving that the Kody and Robyn unit is an authoritarian echo chamber. They exposed themselves as the very people their critics have always claimed they were. The public reaction to this 45-minute video was instantaneous and catastrophic. If the live TV incident was a forest fire, This video was an atomic bomb. The comments section, before they could disable it, was a sea of pure, unadulterated public disgust. People were horrified by Robyn's manipulative woe is me tears and absolutely incensed by Kody's wives' job is obedience rant. He was no longer just a bumbling, narcissistic TV dad. He had rebranded himself in real time as a full-blown misogynist and a tyrant. And what was the response from Christine and Janelle? What carefully worded, legal team-approved statement did they release? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And that was the most powerful move of all. While Kody and Robyn were having a public meltdown in their dark living room, Christine posted a video to her Instagram story of her and Janelle on a hike. They were laughing. The sun was shining. They looked healthy, happy, and unbothered. Later that night, Christine posted a photo of her and Truly cooking dinner with David. Just a normal, happy domestic bliss photo, with a simple caption, "A perfect Tuesday." The juxtaposition was devastating. It was crazy, ranting, darkroom meltdown versus sunny, happy, thriving life. They didn't have to say Kody and Robyn were pathetic losers. They showed it. They won the war without firing a single shot, simply by living well. So let's analyze why this Our Truth video was the final nail in the coffin. First, it confirmed everything. It proved Janelle's point that Kody demands financial support without providing it. It proved Christine's point that he is an emotional black hole who demands loyalty he does not return. Second, it destroyed the last shred of public sympathy for Robyn. Her crying victim act is over. The public now clearly sees her as the co-conspirator, the enabler who co-signs Kody's toxicity as long as it benefits her. And third, it was a confession. Kody's wives must obey rant wasn't a gaffe. It was a confession of his true, fundamentalist, misogynistic worldview. He can never walk that back. There are already reports this morning that the network is holding emergency meetings about the future of the show. Sponsors do not like the word misogyny. Kody didn't just lose the public. He lost the business. He and Robyn, in a 45-minute panic video, managed to completely sever the branch they were sitting on. They thought they were taking back the narrative, but all they did was hand-deliver the prosecution's closing arguments. They are unemployable as lovable polygamists now. Their only remaining brand is toxic marriage. In the end, the Our Truth video will be remembered as Kody and Robyn's biggest mistake. It was a desperate, amateurish, and emotionally incontinent display that revealed their truest, ugliest selves. They thought they could fight Christine and Janelle's facts with their feelings, and they failed. They tried to paint themselves as victims, and instead revealed themselves as the villains. Christine and Janelle are now officially free. They are not just free from Kody, they are free from the narrative.